Little Mickey Johnson was my very best friend. First grade we swore we'd stay that way to the end. In 7th grade somebody stole my bike, and I asked Mickey if he knew who did it, and he lied, 'cause it was him. Oh, when I found out, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I can still see that look on his face when I said I never want to talk to you again. Sometimes we lose our way and don't say things we should say. We hold on to stubborn pride when we should put it all aside. To waste the time we're given seems so senseless. And one little word shouldn't be so hard. Forgiveness. Little card arrived on my wedding day. Best wishes from an old friend was all it had to say. No return address, no, not even a name. But the messy way that it was written gave me away. It was him. Oh, and I just had to laugh as the past came flooding through my mind. I should have picked up that phone right then and there, but I just didn't make the time. Sometimes we lose our way, don't say things we should say. We hold on to stubborn pride when we should put it all aside. To waste the time we're given seems so senseless. One little word shouldn't be so hard. Forgiveness. Sunday morning paper arrived on my step. First thing I read filled my heart with regret. I saw a name I hadn't seen in a while. Said he was survived by a wife and a child. It was him. Oh, I found out the tears just fell like rain. I realized that I'd missed my chance to ever talk to him again. Sometimes we'll lose our way. We don't say things we should say. We hold on to stubborn pride when we should put it all aside. To waste the time we're given seems so senseless. One little word shouldn't be so hard. Forgiveness. Yeah, one little word shouldn't be so hard. Little Mickey Johnson was my very best friend.
You ever wish you had a do-over button? Where you just really screw something up and you could just press that button? There used to be this show on TV I used to watch, I think it was called 7 Days. And this guy worked for the government, and they invented this time machine that could actually take one person back 7 days. So like in one episode, terrorists hit the White House and, you know, the president dies and half the staff dies. No problem, do-over button. Goes back 7 days, finds the terrorist, wipes them out. Never happened. I wish I had a do-over button. Well, let me tell you something. In a sense, we really do have a do-over button. Listen to this. 2 Corinthians 5:17. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have disappeared. And look, all things have become new. From God's perspective, there really is a do-over button. David was a shepherd. Just a humble, ordinary, poor man. And he got called by God to become a king. And he became a king, and he got further blessed to become a prophet. He actually wrote part of the Bible. God spoke to him. He became a very powerful and influential man. And as often happens when people get powerful, they kind of forget about God. They kind of slip up, get a little pride going. And so one day, David's men go off to war, and David stays behind. He'd gotten a little old. He didn't go off to war as much as he used to. And he's up on his rooftop surveying his kingdom, and he sees this woman down in her courtyard bathing. And he goes, whoa, I want her. So he sends for her, brings her into his house. Next thing you know, she's pregnant. Well, she's married. So is David, by the way, to somebody else. Now this guy's off fighting David's war. He gets home to a pregnant woman, he's going to know, everybody's going to know. This was supposed to be a secret. Let me tell you something, it's never a secret. What happens in Vegas does not stay in Vegas. All right? Don't buy that nonsense. Somebody always knows. So he says, I got an idea. I'll bring this guy back from war, pretend I'm rewarding him, send him home to his wife, he'll go with his wife, and hey, next thing you know it, they'll have a baby. Well, he takes the guy back from war, and the guy refuses to go to his wife. He says, my band of brothers are out there in the field. I'm not going to go home and be comfortable with my wife when my brothers are out there battling. And David went, Urgh! Now what do I do? I know what I'll do. So he writes a letter, hands it to the guy, and says, take this to your captain. So he takes it to the captain. The captain breaks the seal. The guy standing right there opens it up and says, yeah, this guy, I want him dead. Bring him to the front line, and then when it's hot and heavy, back away. And I don't want to hear from you again unless you're telling me he's been killed. David, man of God. So the guy gets killed. But it didn't happen in Vegas, and it didn't stay in Vegas. Not too long after that, a prophet shows up at David's door. And the prophet comes in and says, David, I've got something. We need your help. There's something going on in the kingdom. What happened? He said, well, there's this really poor guy who owned one sheep. And rather than keeping it for food or anything, they loved it. It was like a pet to them, like a sister, like a daughter, part of the family. The guy who lived next door owned acres and acres and thousands of sheep, and he had company in town. And he wanted to feed his company sheep, but he didn't want to kill one of his own, so he took the poor guy's little sheep and killed it. David said, that man should die. And then the prophet Nathan said, you are that man. Oh, no, busted. But David wasn't so upset that he was busted. David, his heart was broken. He realized what he had done wrong. And God spoke to him. And God gave him a do-over. God forgave him. There's more to it, which I'll share with you in a minute. But he got a do-over. So that's in the Old Testament. Now let's shoot all the way thousands of years forward to the New Testament. There was a rabbi named Saul. And there was this new sect, all these Jewish people following this guy, claiming he's the Messiah, and God in human flesh. He said, that's bad religion. That's no good. That's blasphemy. So he starts killing these people, making sure they get arrested and brought off to trial. These are followers of Jesus he's persecuting. He thinks he's doing God's work.